Okay, let's try. Let's try. Oh my lord. Everybody keeps Instagramming me. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Isabel, and today we are going to be talking about the things that have been happening with my spine. So if you follow me on Instagram, you pretty much already know this story. I'm going to be going a little bit more in depth. Also, I will be explaining the picture, which I didn't really do. I just kind of posted it. I will be recording this somewhere else because the kids keep making noise. So new background. Oh, okay. Now I am in a new environment. I'd say about 2 months ago we started this new journey as to find out what's actually wrong with my back. As most of you know, if you don't know already, I want to be an ER doctor when I grow up. So anything medical is just so fascinating to me, whether it's my charts or someone else's, like it's just all the same to me. I just really love reading medical terminology and all kinds of medicine, like learning all about that. I know, geeking out, sorry. So I was going on one of the hospital's pages back on my admission and reading the doctor's notes, the clinical notes. I never actually told you guys about this, but back in November I had a bad case of pneumonia and I was in the hospital because I had a pleural effusion. And if you don't know what a pleural effusion is, it's when the sac around your lungs, just like the sac around your heart, there's a sac around your lungs. The sac around my left lung at the base was all filled with fluid. And I had gone to the ER, and the first time I went, they did an x-ray, nothing showed up, it looked fine. So they sent me home. I don't even think they drew blood, honestly. I think they just did an x-ray and they were like, you're fine, here's some Percocet. 2 days later, I ended up going to the main Christiana hospital, where they're much more equipped with stuff like this. And I knew something was wrong because I couldn't sleep at night anymore. I would wake up like gasping for breath. They weren't going to do an x-ray, but they drew blood work, and the blood work actually came back as something was wrong, and protocol says that you have to do a CT if blood work shows that something could be wrong. And he said, I doubt anything's gonna come up though. You were totally fine 2 days ago, like nothing's gonna come up. And he does the CT and he says, he comes back and he's like, wow, I was wrong. You have a moderate pleural effusion. It's like baseline about whether we should drain it right this second or whether we should wait, but you definitely have to be admitted. So he admitted me, and I was in the hospital for a total of 5 days. I was not getting better. I came in with 100% O2, which is your oxygen rate, which is normal. Anywhere from 98 to 100 is normal. If you drop below 98, then like there's, starting to worry. If it's below 92, you get on oxygen. I think on the 3rd day my oxygen started to drop down to 92. And they never did put me on oxygen. They were doing, I have asthma, but they were doing nebulizer treatments, and it didn't help. And then they started me on antibiotics, and that did help a little bit, but not much. They started me on one antibiotic, and then the very next day they started me on levofloxacin. That is like the strongest antibiotic that they can usually give you. At least that's what they told me. And then they sent me the next day to get it drained. And at the end, he's like, whoa, like it's a great thing that we drained it right now. It's not the most fluid that you can have in your lung, but it was definitely a lot higher, especially for a 19-year-old girl who's not supposed to ever get problems like this. Like pleural effusions usually only happen in elderly people. So for it to happen to me, it was just very strange, and they didn't know why it was happening. If you've ever gone to the emergency room and they've probably given you like a liter of fluids. So if you look at like a liter of fluid bag, it's about this big, like the whole thing. And that's a liter, which is 1,000 milliliters. I drained 700 milliliters of fluid off of one lung. And I had like a mild pleural effusion on the other side, but it wasn't nearly as bad, and I also had a pericardial effusion, which is also not nearly as bad. So they didn't have to do anything about that, although I was having chest pain from that and pericarditis. So they had me on colchicine for that. Back to why I told you that story. I did want to tell you guys that story anyway. I never got a chance, and actually kind of forgot about it at first until I was looking through my chart and was like, I forgot I was hospitalized then. So I looked through my chart and I clicked on that CT, the very first CT, looked at that CT, and if you know anything about like any imaging, it doesn't just show you, like say you want to see if you broke a rib, you take a picture of that. Like it's not going to show you just the ribs, right? It's going to show you like the spine that's like in the field, and it's going to show you your heart, the outline of your skin, stuff like that. So in the description that the radiologist wrote about my CT of my chest, she saw compression deformities of my T3 to T7. So that is your thoracic spine. So it goes cervical, which is your neck, and then goes down to thoracic, down to like right here-ish, and then from there it goes to lumbar, and then below that is your sacral. I had no idea what that meant when I saw compression deformities. I just know that deformities doesn't sound good. My first thought was, oh, do I have like scoliosis? Like it's deformed, like something like that? I don't know. So I looked it up and it kept saying compression fracture, and I'm like, but that's not what I searched. I searched deformity, and every time I searched it, it just kept saying fracture, and I was very confused. So I was already going to my pediatrician, and I thought, you know what, like I'm here, why not mention it? So I told her what I found, and I told her what it said, and she said, that's weird, let's look into that. She wrote me a note to contact this place for spinal injections, because she thought, well, you know, like spinal fracture or compression fracture, let's try this, maybe that'll help your pain. I come back the next week and I hadn't contacted them yet because school had gotten so busy. And I go back and she's like, you know what, scratch that, let's send you to a neurosurgeon right away, before we like do spinal injections, because like what if this is something else? 2.5, 3 weeks ago I went to this neurosurgeon. You have to bring your CT scans on a CD with you to the appointment. So I did that. He pulls it up, he looks at it, he looks at my history, he looks at the note, he looks at everything. He says, yeah, you can see here, these are fractures. And he like showed us what areas are considered the fractures. So this is what they look like. So those are my real compression deformities, or compression fractures. It's like the same, they mean the same. Just compression fractures is the more common term that people use. He said, yeah, so when do you think you did this? Have you injured yourself recently? Any of this? He asked when my pain started and all that. He's like, oh, so it's been like really recent. I was like, no, 2013. He's like, oh, it's not a typo. And I was like, no. And he's like, darn. Had we got these diagnosed sooner, I would have been able to have either a kyphoplasty or a vertebroplasty. So a vertebroplasty is when they stick a needle into the spinal vertebrae that is fractured, and they fill it with bone cement is what it's called. And what happens is it hardens pretty quickly, and then the fracture can't get any worse, but it can't get any better. But a kyphoplasty is when the fracture is like usually worse than for a vertebroplasty, and they put a balloon into it, which makes it expand, and then they fill that area that the balloon just came out of with the bone cement so that it's formed the way it's supposed to be. But we're still not sure when it started. I've been trying to think, because at the appointment I had no idea. I was like, you know, I don't know. I didn't do anything. So he said it had been too long. Usually do either of those procedures around like no more than 3, 4, sometimes 5 months after the injury. Other than that, it's like it's too late, it's too risky. It's not a risky surgery, it's too risky that it won't work. And like they started to heal in a way that'll cause them to be stuck like that, and like it won't help. So we have to look at other options that are not surgery. first. So the first option, which I am trying this Thursday, I think it's May 31st when I'm having it, whatever Thursday is, I'll be getting spinal injections, either nerve block or ablation. It said nerve block / ablation, so I don't know. They're both different. So from my research, a nerve block, they stick a needle in your spine, same like they would, except this time it's in the nerves around the issue, around the vertebrae that's broken. The medicine that they put through the injection turns off the pain receptors in that nerve temporarily. And I think, from what I read, I will research this before I publish this, but from what I read, an ablation is when they will do like the same thing as a nerve block, except with electrical rather than medicine. I'm getting one of those. I will update you guys. That'll be my next video. Definitely be my next video about how that went, if it worked, if it didn't work. But either way, depending on which one I do, it'll still take a few tries, up to a few tries, to get it in the right spot and to see if it'll work. That's what I'm doing first. Now, if that works, there's 3 options. That's the first option. If that works, we do option number 2. Now, option number 2 is to put a radioactive isotope into the spine, the same as you would for the nerve block, but it's a longer term medicine, so it lasts longer, and it kind of like turns off the pain receptors of that nerve more permanently. Now, if option number 1 didn't work, we would jump to option number 3. But if option number 1 worked, but option number 2 didn't work, we would go to option number 3. And by didn't work, I mean 50% or less success. If it's like 70 or above, usually they call that a success. But if it's 50% or lower, or even just lower than 70%, usually they don't call that a success, and we go to another option. Option number 3 is like the worst of all of the options. It's a spinal cord stimulator. It's not really an invasive surgery. So a spinal cord stimulator usually is get put around your waistband in the back. That's for lower back pain and leg pain. My problem is in my thoracic spine, which is, hold on, this is hard, which is like right here, right between my shoulder blades. That's where my pain is, and because of that, the spinal cord stimulator in the lower back, where it's usually done, will not work. So he said if I do that, I would have to get it in my cervical spine, which is a higher risk surgery, higher chance of failure, and not many doctors have done it, and the ones who have done it haven't done it that much because it's just so unheard of. But it's the only other option we have. It's not a good option. We want the first options to work. We want Thursday to work. But yeah, that's pretty much what came of my appointment like 3 weeks ago. Sorry, it's been so long. So if you guys have any questions or concerns or comments or anything, as always, you can email me. My email will be in the description box below. It's also right here, izzyrose18@aol.com. And my Instagram, also below, is chronicallyizzy. And if you want to be caught up with me, like my day-to-day life, I post a lot on Chronically Izzy. I will be having a giveaway there soon when I hit 1K, which is like 32 people away. Oh my god, crazy. So if you guys want to be a part of that giveaway, be sure to follow and maybe turn on post notifications so that you know when the giveaway is so you can apply. I will not have everything picked out before the giveaway goes because I want to specifically talk to that person, get an idea of who that person is, to be able to see what that person would love. I will have an idea, I will set up some ideas. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a new video because I will hopefully be posting a lot this summer, as I think a lot will be happening. Wheelchair is all fixed, by the way. But other than that, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!